Fisheries Research and Development Fund, and this fund will provide supplementary funding for research intended to further the development of fisheries management, capacity building, scholarship grants, and support for the observer programs, and the fund will be administered by the Director General, Honorable Speaker. The bill further proposes that the fund shall receive its funding from parliamentary allocations, donations made to the service from any source for purposes of the fund, and royalties paid to the service. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, was saying that this House will also have a critical role in superintending over the utilization of these funds to ensure that even this money that is going towards the provision of research services actually goes towards funding research that will inform the growth of our blue economy sector, Honorable Speaker. Research that will inform the fisher folk in Lake Victoria to be able to know what fish species are growing faster in the cages, which ones are able to survive for those who are doing cage farming in Lake Victoria. And you've seen in the recent past the challenges that the fisher folk have had along the Lake Victoria belt with those who are engaged in cage farming, waking up one morning and finding all their fish dead. Honorable Speaker, research into the quality of the water around the lake, research in terms of the distance from the beach and how deep into the lake you need to put these cages would help our rural fisher folk to know where to position their cages so that they don't wake up one morning and find all their fish dead. And as I'm saying, this fund, this Fisheries Research and Development Fund, will be a critical element in the provision of research, timely research to be able to educate our fisher folk and also people who are scientists who are doing this research to ensure that they are properly funded. And this will also offer scholarship grants, as I said, to scientists and our university students to be able to advance their studies in marine education and the fisheries sector. Honorable Speaker, this fund, as I said, will get allocations, again, money appropriated by this House, and therefore it's important that the House plays its critical role in terms of oversight. And Honorable Speaker, the second fund that is being established under this bill is the Fish Levy Trust Fund, which will provide additional funding for activities that are related to the management, development, and capacity building, awards, and urgent mitigation to ensure sustainability of the fisheries resource. The fund, again, is to be managed by a board of trustees. And critically, Honorable Speaker, this fund is primarily funded by the levy imposed by the Cabinet Secretary on persons engaged in fishing or fishing activities. Again, also from donations made to the service from any source for purposes of the fund, and such other sums of money or other assets as may be specifically designated to the Fish Levy Trust Fund by the service out of this general fund. Honorable Speaker, people who engage in this business of farming will be levied a fund, a levy rather, and this levy will go to this levy trust fund and for purposes that I have already pointed out. And it's important Honorable Speaker, because this is a levy that is being imposed on persons who are engaged in fishing and fishing activities in the country. Again, we ensure that this money goes to the Honorable Speaker differentiate goes to proper use. The bill, Honorable Speaker, differentiates the two funds based on management, purpose, and their respective sources of funds. As I said, one is getting direct appropriations, the other is getting money from this levy. And again, it could also get donations to be able to carry on their work. Honorable Speaker, I do not want to belabor many other issues because the seconder will touch on many of the other issues, who is the chair of the committee, and to allow other members who would want to contribute to this bill to contribute. But I want to urge all of us to support this bill. It's a very important bill in terms of management of our natural resource in fishery or in our fish stock and the other resources that exist in the marine world, and also in the development of this sector. The blue economy sector is one very rich resource area in our country. When we talk about natural resources, people imagine you just talk about minerals. And it's good that the State Department for Fisheries also falls under the same ministry with the State Department for Mining. But our natural resources go beyond the gold, the cobalt, the copper that is being mined around the world or around our country, but also that very rich resource beneath or beneath the surface of the water that we see on our water masses, be it in our rivers, our lakes, from Lake Victoria to Lake Turkana, to the Indian Ocean, Honorable Speaker, and even for those who are engaged in aquaculture farming, in the ponds that we grow our fish. And I know members from Nyeri County know this because there was a very rich culture in Othaya of fish growing. I also know many farmers in Kikuyu, especially around Ondire, who are engaged in fish farming. And therefore, it is not a bill that is seeking to address only the fisher folk around our lakes and rivers and oceans, but also our farmers who are engaged in aquaculture farming. And I want to encourage Kenyans to engage in fish farming. And I say this because, Honorable Speaker, as I had mentioned earlier when I was contributing to the mediated version of the Feed and Food Safety Bill, that the meat business is very lucrative. And so even those who partake of fish, fish is expensive. It is not cheap. Growing it, producing it, and being able to market it and make a profit out of it is critical for the growth of our economy and our blue economy sector. And therefore, we must ensure that this bill goes on to help our farmers, our fisher folk, to have a sector that has a proper legal framework that supports them not just in the trade of and marketing of their produce, but also in the growth of the sector in terms of research and development of this sector, Honorable Speaker. And is one sector that had been ignored for a long time. I must say, Honorable Speaker, because I was with the Honorable Nyikal at a place called Asat. on the border of Seme and Kisumu Town West constituencies. That indeed, the investment that this government has put in the development of the beach management units, which this bill also, I didn't want to get into that, this bill is also touching about the establishment on how you help the fisherfolk to come together in beach management units, to be able to develop themselves and grow themselves as the fisherfolk around our lakes. And Honorable Nyikal will tell you that the development of fish landing sites around the Lake Victoria region with an investment of over 5 billion shillings around the Lake Victoria belt, and much more along our ocean on the coastal belt, right from Kiunga in Lamu, all the way down to Vanga, the north coast, the south coast of Honorable Speaker, lives are changing. And this can only be done through such deliberate efforts to make sure that we put together the fisherfolk around our water masses under those beach management units, help them to form circles that will help them to grow, develop for them the fish landing sites, Honorable Speaker. And I remember a constituent of Honorable Nyikal, very beautiful young lady, who told me that they were suffering because what was happening before was that the middlemen who would come to buy fish from them would wait until about 5:30, 6:30 in the evening and come to the beaches to buy their fish at throwaway prices. But now with the development of these BMUs and the fish landing sites, what the government has done in changing the lives of the fisherfolk along our water bodies, Honorable Speaker, is to ensure that with the fish landing sites, they have cooling facilities or cold rooms, that if I go out to the lake and fish, I go early in the morning, I fish, and I come at lunchtime back to the beach with my fish. And the middlemen who are waiting to come and buy my fish at a throwaway price come in the evening. I have no fear that my fish will get spoiled. And therefore, I can keep my fish in the cold room, do the basic rudimental processing of the fish, removing the intestines and the inner things that make them to reduce their shelf life, and be able to store that fish overnight or even for 2-3 days in a cold room as I look for proper market with the proper pricing. And therefore, in a big way, Honorable Speaker, our fisherfolk along our lakes from Turkana to Lake Victoria to Lake Naivasha, those along the coastal belt, their lives are being impacted in a very significant manner, Honorable Speaker. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, when I hear at times the President challenging his competitors on the political front to get an agenda and to get a purpose, not just for their lives, political lives, but also to speak to issues, often I identify myself with those sentiments. Because this administration, Honorable Speaker, is not just about talk. It is about impacting and transforming the lives of the people significantly. I went to Kilifi, and I was in Kilifi yesterday afternoon, Honorable Speaker, for the funeral service of our brother, Honorable Owen Baya. And I passed by a site where the President opened such a fish landing site a year ago. And when I was there, Honorable Speaker, listening to the people there narrate stories of how their lives have been transformed by an investment of a fish landing site where they can get a cold room to store their fish, and they're able to sell their fish at better prices, Honorable Speaker. You have heard stories along the shores of Lake Victoria, how vulnerable women who are fishing or are selling fish along the shores of Lake Victoria were. because people are taking advantage of them sexually. The same along the shores of Lake Turkana, and even along the shores of Lake Naivasha, Honorable Speaker. And Lake Victoria, I mentioned Lake Victoria. But those will be things of the past, Honorable Speaker, with such investments in this sector. That is why I support, Honorable Speaker, the growth of this aquaculture and this blue economy sector. And this bill will go a long way in helping us to manage our resources in our lakes, our rivers, and our oceans, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to conclude by telling those who have been despising this administration that we are opening fish landing sites. And I heard one of them asking, why would the president go to commission or do the groundbreaking of a fish landing site in a small village called Asat, as I said, on the border of Seme and Kisumu Town West constituencies? Honorable Speaker, these are people who do not identify or who do not even value the livelihoods of the people who depend on the fish that they are getting from the lake. And when they are told to get an agenda, Honorable Speaker, and all they can do is move around the country insulting people, Honorable Speaker, let me say we need to pray for them. Particularly that man, that confused man who is threatening everybody elsewhere. And I have seen him, Honorable Speaker, today purports to be issuing threats to Kimani Ichung'wa. Let me tell Wamonyoro from the floor of this house. You know, this Gashieda man must know there are people you can threaten. There are people you can intimidate, but not Kimani Ichung'wa. I have heard him saying that I am intimidating him. Oh, he's saying that he cannot come to Kikuyu. Gashieda, Kikuyu is part and parcel of Kenya. Just like I go to Karatina. And I'll be in Karatina even this weekend. So, whether you are Kalonzo Musyoka, whether you are Matiang'I, I saw the former Chief Justice was in Kikuyu the other day with a handful of people and had a very peaceful engagement with the people of Kikuyu. Because the people of Kikuyu are a peace-loving people, Honorable Speaker. That is why within our community in Kikuyu, we have Kenyans from all walks of life. And we welcome visitors. And we welcome everybody to come and engage with us, but we want people to engage with us on issues. And I have told Gashieda, you can come insult Kimani Ichung'wa all you want. That will not change anything in Kikuyu, by the way. I have told Mr. Gashieda, come, say you say whenever you want to come to Kikuyu. Come, shout all you want to shout, but leave the people of Kikuyu in peace. On 2 occasions, Gashieda has mobilized goons, the first time in 2024, to ban the NGCDF office in Kikuyu and left the people of Kikuyu suffering. Last year, the same Gashieda mobilized goons to ban our law courts, ban our county government offices, and even attempt to ban my house and threaten my late father. And I heard him the other day saying, oh, Ichung'wa mobilized goons. Gashieda, I want to ask you, how do I mobilize goons to ban my own house? How do I mobilize goons to ban my own office? And you know, I know this man. And we all know him. When you hear Gashieda saying this is happening, he is saying exactly what he's planning. I know he plans, and I have information. He has already mobilized goons from Githurai. He has mobilized goons from as far as Nyeri to come and loot in Kikuyu. I want to tell you, we will not allow you to loot the businesses of the people of Kikuyu. If you want to come and politic in Kikuyu, come and politic the whole day. The people of Kikuyu do not eat politics. The people of Kikuyu eat what they work hard for. Don't disrupt their businesses. The people of Kikuyu value work. Elected their member of parliament for 3 terms consecutively, and hopefully for a 4th term, irrespective of what Gashiatha says. Therefore, let me just use this floor, Honorable Speaker, allow me to tell that warmonger, that tribalist, my friend, you are welcome to Kikuyu constituency. And you can come with your whole brigade of the other disunited and confused opposition. But please, when you engage with the people of Kikuyu, talk to them about their roads. You mobilize goons to come and burn their offices and loot their businesses. But do not bring us those goons you have been mobilizing from Githurai, from Majengo, I hear. And you know, he thinks we don't know. He came to Angige the other day, mobilized a whole from Limuru, and went with them to Mheshimiwa Mashukuru's constituency. To do what? Just insult Mashukuru, shout 1 term. How does that change the lives of the people of Kenya? The people of Kikuyu are keen on the development of the fisheries resource in this country. Because we know we have no rivers, we have no lakes in Kikuyu. But we have a rich resource in terms of our strategic position close to the capital city. And therefore, when we get involved in aquaculture farming, we know the Senas, the Kempinskis, the J.W. Marriotts will buy our fish that we are growing in Kikuyu, will buy our poultry, will buy our pig products for pig farmers like myself, and our beef products for beef farmers like myself again and Honorable Kangogo, and also create employment. Therefore, when we tell these people, please, when you speak to the people of Kenya, give them your agenda. And it is free advice you are being given. Those who are being told, please stop sleeping during the day in rallies. Honestly, if you are sleeping during the day in a political rally, what would happen to you if we gave you a big office? So you will put a bed in that office and do all manner of things in those offices, especially where there is very strict security around you, doing behind those closed doors. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just diverted on that Gashiatha man, because I have seen him in the last 2 weeks. He wakes up, Kimani Ichung'wah. He sleeps, Kimani Ichung'wah. When he is sleeping, when he is scratching his swing, sustainability, economic growth of our fisherfolk families and communities, and improve livelihoods for millions of Kenyans who depend on the fish resource in our country and elsewhere around our borders, Honorable Speaker. And with these remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I want to request the Honorable Kangogo Bowen, the indomitable chair of the Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation Committee, to second this motion for agreement and urge the House to support this bill so that we may secure that legal framework that we will protect our economy, grow our economy, ensure there's a sustainability in how we manage our fish resources as a natural resource in this country, and also generate economic growth, not just for our country, but for millions of our people who depend on this sector for our livelihood. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the Fisheries Management and Development Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 29 of 2023, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, before I proceed, I really want to congratulate His Excellency the President, Honorable Speaker, for creating the Ministry of Blue Economy. For the first time, Honorable Speaker, the blue economy in the country has a ministry led by the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho. Madam Speaker, before, the blue economy and fisheries, at one point they were also in the Ministry of Water, and it was displaced everywhere, and the visibility of blue economy, Honorable Speaker, it was not there. That's why I'm saying I want to appreciate the President, because for the first time we are talking about the blue economy as a country, because now we have a ministry which has given a very good visibility of the blue economy sector. Madam Speaker, this bill came as a result of a court case in Kilifi, where some fishermen went to court that the Fisheries Management Bill of 2016 was passed through this House without a public participation, and there were some clauses which they felt it was restricting their fishing, especially the nets. Yes. So, yes.
What's your point of information, Majority Leader?
Honorable Speaker, you know, my seconder might have been a slip of the tongue. He said the 2016 Act was passed without public participation. It was said to be inadequate public participation. So that doesn't go on record that there was no public participation. There was public participation, but the people who went to court claimed it was not enough, and that's why I said it was a slip of the tongue, because the chair knows that's why he went to 10 counties.
Yes, that is it, Honorable Speaker. So they said they were not involved. They were, I think at that time, they didn't know, even the public didn't even know that there was a public participation anyway. But the issue which came out strongly, Honorable Speaker, was about the fishing nets. And they say that the provisions and the specifications of the fishing nets in the Act was very punitive to them, and that they needed to be involved or to be given alternative if that chance is there, and the court listened to them, and that is how the fisheries was nullified, the Fisheries Act was nullified, and that is why, Honorable Speaker, we are coming up with now a new fisheries bill. And Madam Speaker, when we got the draft from the Attorney General, Madam Speaker, in compliance with the Article 118 public Honorable Speaker, that can guide the fishing in terms of conservation, the management, and the development of the fisheries resources in the country. Madam Speaker, the bill, the committees received also some memorandums from many stakeholders. We engaged the State Department of Blue Economy and Fisheries, which they gave us their memorandums. We also engaged the Council of Governors. The Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, being stakeholders, we had a lot of engagement with the Council of Governors. And in every section of the bill, we had an engagement with the Council of Governors, led by their chair, the Honorable Otuoma, the Governor of Busia. So, and we agreed in many sections, Honorable Speaker. That is why we don't have a lot of contentious clauses with the Council of Governors. Madam Speaker, Clause 4 of the bill, as a fisheries management and development bill, outlines the objectives, which the Honorable Leader of Majority has already elaborated very well. So there is institutions like the Kenya Fisheries Service. There is also KEMFRI, which does the research part of the fisheries. And also, we have the fund. We have a fisheries fund, which specifically this one, Honorable Speaker, is to help the small-scale farmers to access cheap loans and also to do the research. There is, that forms the structured financing framework for the fisheries. Honorable Speaker, in this bill also, there is a provision for a stock assessment. Honorable Speaker, there is no way we can attract investors from the country, within the country, and even outside the country, Honorable Speaker, if we don't have information as to the stock of a fish we have in our waters. So the bill provides a stock assessment that over a period of time, there is need to have a stock assessment, to carry out a stock assessment, and that information is stored in a fisheries repository management system where even investors outside the country, Honorable Speaker, they are able to check to know what is the stock of a tuna fish in the country. How much do we have at tilapia in our country? And Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, that is what is contained in this bill. Honorable Speaker, we as a country, we are suffering with unregulated, illegal overfishing and unreported fishing across our waters. It has been a problem for many years. It's a problem within the State Department and even within our security sector. And Mr. Speaker, this bill has provided a surveillance control, that there will be a surveillance control which is going to be undertaken by multi-agency. Our Coast Guards will be there. There will be a KFS, Kenya Fisheries Service, Honorable Speaker, and also the Kenya Maritime Authority. All of them, they are going to form a multi-agency to make sure that our fish and our resources, our ocean resources, are protected from these people who are doing illegal fishing. Honorable Speaker, this bill concerns the county government. And in the bill, Honorable Speaker, we have given out clearly what is the role the county government are going to play in terms of licensing and in terms of management of this sector. So there is a clear roles the county government are doing, including the CEC, the chief executive officer in charge of fishing, at the county level, what role are they going to play in relation to what our peers, the peers blue economy is going to play? So that, Honorable Speaker, if a fisherman or any fish trader who is transporting fish from one county to another is given a permit which can just last maybe several days, rather than the license which is being issued now by KFS. So it is very clearly indicated in the bill what the role of county government is in terms of aquaculture, in terms of even the management of these aquaculture areas, and also in terms of the revenue collection. Because, Honorable Speaker, the problem between the county government and the national government, the conflict has been on the revenue collection. The revenues collected, how are they going to divide? So, and in this bill, Honorable Speaker, we have given out clearly the revenues which goes to the county government and the revenues which comes to the national government. So, Honorable Speaker, the committee further notes the concerns which I have already indicated of double licensing, and the bill is going to address those issues. So the governance issues, Honorable Speaker, including the recognition of beach management units, which in the previous bill, the beach management units, they were not recognized. In this new bill, Honorable Speaker, we have recognized the beach management units. We have defined their roles and even how they are going to be, how they are going to elect their officials under the county government. And the CEC in charge of the fisheries at the counties, upon elections of the beach management units, so the CEC is going to now cassette under the county government those beach management units and the officials. So the environmental safeguards, Honorable Speaker, the inclusions of the beach management units, they are going to oversee that one, and in their elections or in their management, they are going to include people with disabilities so that they form part of the management units. So, Honorable Speaker, the committee having considered the fisheries management and development bill, the National Assembly Bill number 29 of 2023, Honorable Speaker, recommends that the House approves the bill with the amendments, because I'm saying with the amendment, Honorable Speaker, because when we received the draft bill, there was a submission from the Council of Governors, there was a submission from the ministry, but also we got also submission from the public participation. And we harmonized all of them, Honorable Speaker, and you will find that they harmonized the document in this report. So, Honorable Speaker, so the bill seeks to strengthen the governance of the fishery sector, enhance the enforcement mechanism, promote aquaculture development, and support the livelihood of fishing communities. So, Mr. Speaker, the committee is satisfied that the bill will contribute to sustainable utilization of fisheries resources and unlock the opportunities within the blue economy sector. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask this Honorable House that our fishermen, yes, if we pass this bill, Honorable Speaker, is going not only to benefit our fishermen, but it's going also to unlock the potential of the sector and also to increase our revenue as a country. Honorable Speaker, lastly, when we visited Namibia, Honorable Speaker, in the last parliament, Mr. Speaker, almost half of the GDP of Namibia is supported by blue economy. And Namibia is a very small country, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure, Honorable Speaker, as a country, if we put our resources into this blue economy sector, now that we have a very good regulatory and a legislative framework, Honorable Speaker, we are going to benefit as a country. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I second.
Yeah, honorable members, I propose the question. The Fisheries Management and Development Bill, National Assembly Bill number 29 of 2023, be now read a second time. The Honorable Dr. James Enyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill because the fishing industry is a major sector, particularly for some of our areas. And also, Mr. Speaker, we know that the act that we had was nullified by the court. The reasons we don't want to go into now, which means, Mr. Speaker, now we have a vacuum. And we have a vacuum in the face of very serious problems in the fishing industry. Mr. Speaker, if you take the case of Lake Victoria, where we come from, the stock of fish is dwindling. There is overfishing in the area. And you cannot blame the fishermen because even the regulation is not proper. People use wrong gear. And as some members just said, these wrong gear, that some of it are banned, are actually available in the shops everywhere. So the fishermen ask the correct question. If these are banned gear, why are they in the market? Mr. Speaker, there's also destruction of breeding sites. You know that the Gulf is actually the main breeding site for the whole of the big lake of Victoria. And there is farming, people are cutting vegetation that is associated with the lake, and therefore the breeding sites are actually being depleted by fishing, overfishing, and at the same time by destruction. And Mr. Speaker, this leads to conflict amongst the fishermen because there is little fish in the lake, and there are a lot of people that are going into fishing. It's a major industry. It's a major life-sustaining industry. And this conflict, people fight. People die on the lake because of this. There's conflict with the law. And even the law itself has actually been not proper because we had cases where our double licensing from the county government and from the national government, and the fishermen themselves are not quite sure who should actually regulate the fishing industry. The beach management units, although were recognized by law, actually had very little support. And because of that, they are not doing what they should supposed to do. And there were poor marketing outlets, as you heard by the mover, where there were no cooling equipment. The fish was actually being sold at a throwaway prices. So, Mr. Speaker, we had a lot of this, and there were no organized marketing strategies for the fishermen. The fish landing areas themselves are not very well developed, and in international trade, if the fish landing sites are not properly maintained, then you cannot access the market in some areas. So this is really a major issue for us. So, Mr. Speaker, when I look at this bill, it has actually proposed very many structures, and I like structures because they make things work easier. They have proposed the Kenya Fisheries Services. They have proposed Kenya Fisheries Advisory Board. They have proposed Kenya Fish Marketing Authority. They have proposed Fisheries Research and Development Fund, and they have proposed Fish Levy Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, if we are to implement this properly, actually we can stabilize, develop, and expand the fishing industry. Like the Kenya Kenya Fisheries Services will definitely be important is monitoring the fishing industry, regulating the fishing industries, and therefore even support the fishermen when we are changing from just chasing wild fish and actually going into aquaculture, which can either be cages or we can even have ponds for aquaculture. So that fisheries services is a major body, is a major unit if we do set it up. Then we'll have the fisheries advisory body, and Mr. Speaker, you cannot change a whole industry if you do not have a constant policy monitoring mechanism, which I believe the Kenya Fisheries Advisory Board will have to do, and that's what is in the Act. And then, Mr. Speaker, a marketing authority. Sometimes when the fishermen get fish, and as we have said, and there's no proper outlets, the fish go bad, or they sell to middlemen. Mr. Speaker, you yourself, you come from the lake, and you know that the people who go to the lake actually keep walking on foot, and they don't look. And the middlemen who come to get the fish from the lake, they come in cars. They don't go to the lake, but they drive courtesy of the products that they come as middlemen. So if you have a proper marketing authority that will support the fish, will go a long way. And if you are going to move, Mr. Speaker, into aquaculture, particularly cage farming in the lake, this must go together with serious research, because you are going to change the environment of the lake. And what will the numerous cages in the lake do? The lake is not just for fishes. The lake is also a transport mechanism. The lake is, it's also, to some small extent, within the international laws, is used a lot for small-time irrigation. And so we know that when we've started fishing in the last few years, we had this problem of welling, where the fish actually just die en masse. We need constant research to know what we need to do and how we deal with the massive aquaculture in the lake. We also know that around the lake there is agriculture, and we want to know what kind of fertilizers you are going to use if you are going to do major aquaculture. Look at what is happening in Lake Naivasha. When you pass along there, you find a lot of fish that these young men have. And they have been declared unfit for human consumption because of the agriculture that is around the lake. So, Mr. Speaker, if we look at all these provisions that are in the bill, if we implement them, if we look at the problem we have now, I think we need this bill to be in an act to replace what the court nullified. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Honorable Nyikal, before you are done, that cage, what did you call it?
Cage farming.
The cage farming within the lake. Under what arrangement is it done now that the space where you do cage farming could be in conflict with where other people also want to do transport lines, or where fellow fishermen also want to do cage fishing? Is it that they lease or they pay some taxes to government or the county government?
Mr. Speaker, that up to now has not been very clear who should license them, the national government or the county government. And as you have said, if we go in a massive way, then you will start actually interfering with the transport services in the lake. The small people who use the canoes, where do they put the legs? And another thing that at least we know of now, Mr. Speaker, is that where you have cage farming, that becomes a secondary breeding area, because under the nets, they are safe. And then other fishermen now, who are not owners of cages, now want to fish around those areas. And there's a conflict even now. I mean, you have seen they have to hire watchmen who are on these floating huts to guard this. And again, if it is massive, it will also have an impact on the flow of currents in the lake. It will have an impact on what vegetation grows under the lake. So the fisheries research unit must actually now also get into gear and say we are changing the environment. Do we always monitor how this is changing and what other impacts it will have? So this bill is extremely important. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Honorable Nyikal. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi. Let us hear what Kofi